These were meant to be very informal remarks in the less than 10 minutes I have. David said to me 4 years ago, I have a little question I want you to think about, in his usual, very quiet, unassuming way. And that, of course, to a lawyer is the kiss of death, because that means you're going to have a case you're going to deal with the next 4 years, which we did on this book. This book is really by and for everybody. I've never been involved with a project which has benefited so much by everybody in this room and by the lived stories that are talked about in the book. Alex, who's talked about, is a 13-year-old boy with intellectual developmental disabilities who at his school a couple years ago was thrown basically paper workbooks and isolated in the classroom in their inclusive approach. And of course it led to frustration. It led to his parents wringing their hands and endless meetings with the school folks. And I got involved. The irony was, of course, and I said this yesterday, when Alex would go home from school, he would play on the computer and text with his friends and go on Facebook and do a lot of things that 13-year-old boys do with technology. And he had no opportunity at the school and no sense that he could do that at the school. Jennifer, one of my clients this year, we just settled a case. Jennifer, with a range of disabilities, hearing impairments and others, wanted to be able to understand the news on CNN, like everybody else, like we all do. CNN, the case is now just settled last week. CNN in its wisdom, and companies are not monolithic, by the way. They're good actors, they're less good actors. Litigation is not always the thing we want to do. It's actually last resort, but we ended up in this severe litigation because CNN decided that if they had to caption their website, it would infringe their free speech rights. In other words, it would impact the way they would present their journalism, talking about kind of a perverse way of thinking about information from the free society. These are the kinds of stories that I talk about in the book and set out as a playbook, really, for future litigation or future pressure. It doesn't have to be litigation, in which we can work proactively with good actors and less good actors towards an understanding of what equality means, that is, equal access to the web under the law, in line with the principles of the Declaration. My remarks will be very brief today, but it's clear that the principles of equality, and the Declaration are as applicable to people with cognitive disabilities as they are to people with visual impairments, as they are to people with hearing impairments and multiple disabilities, and people with English as a second language, and people from other countries using different languages, and older Americans, older adults, everybody that wants to participate in the web of things. In the book, I set out a proposition which was going to be used in one of these cases if they had not settled, but will be used in a subsequent case as necessary, about a legal statement that's based in the Americans with Disabilities Act for a right to web technology for people with cognitive disabilities. And I have said that the full and equal enjoyment of the web, of the Internet of Things, is to have the meaningful and reasonably comparable opportunity. It's an opportunity that we want, that my wife wants who has intellectual disabilities, that my friends and neighbors want, that you want, and to use and access and enjoy the web, that is, access and use in a meaningful way. The content on the web, of course, have access to technology as well, and to not to be excluded from that prospect on the basis of disabilities alone, either by individuals or organizations, or through the design of web technology itself. Pretty broad statement, throwing down the gauntlet that there will be, and there are teeth to this fantastic declaration which this group authored and has set in motion. Now, in the book, of course, there's a lot of lawyer talk as well. There's a playbook for legal strategy. I play a human-computer interaction person a little bit. My God person and mentor in that area has been Clayton Lewis, who has advised me for 4 years, along with so many others, on the interface between law, technology, disability, aging, basically all these core elements that converge now in our society, really in a transformative time, where, as Bill Coleman has said, not only will they converge technologically, they'll converge biologically. They'll converge contextually in smart environments. They'll converge in ecosystems. They'll converge across the cloud and within the cloud. So I conclude the book, and my remarks are brief now here, and we can talk more about it later, but the real question for all of us is, why the heck would we choose to live in a world without web equality for all of us? We don't have to live in that world. Rosa Parks, you remember, the African-American woman who chose not to sit in the back of the bus during the civil rights struggle, moved to the front of the bus. She chose to be a person with rights recognized under law. That's why we're all here. As I've said in the video, we the people, the opening lines to the United States Constitution, includes all the people, and that is all of us in this room. So thank you all for the opportunity to be a scribe for the fantastic stories and ideas which have been derived from many, many people, many of whom are thanked in the book. And it's a great honor for me to present that book, particularly to David Braddock, who was the true inspiration behind that book for me, and it would not have happened was it not for him. So thank you, David. Thank you all, and it's a pleasure to be here today.